I walked out of the train station in Lhasa, Tibet, a high plateau in China annexed by force in 1959. I am exhausted, having been stuck on a train for a couple days, knowing the prize at the end of the tunnel. I expect a hiker's paradise of crisp, clean air, breathtaking views, and a cold climate. In addition, I expect to interact with some of the most ethnically homogenous people in the world with their own version of Buddhism that goes back centuries, and tradition Tibetan nomadic lifestyle, unspoiled by the outside influences. However, the stark contrast I notice when I walk out of the train station hits me. The high mountains give way to a giant slab of concrete, the train station plaza. Rows of army soldiers greet the incoming travelers, checking every ID and spot checking suitcases. It was a very harrowing experience. The guards gave me extra scrutiny due to my dual citizenship, swabbing my luggage for bomb residue on the way out. The guards are all heavily armed with machine guns, and strict signs on the plaza prohibit photography. Across from the train station, I see Lhasa. Instead of primitive huts and nomadic tents, I see high-rise apartments and McDonald's. Culturally, this was the same as Shanghai, yet I was promised a Shangri-La in Tibet devoid of Western influences. However, the most prominent example of Chinese control sat before me, giant posters showing Deng Xiaoping, Hu Jintao, Xi Jinping, Jiang Zemin, and of course the founder of Communist China, Mao Zedong. These five faces glower down on everyone exiting the train station, reminding them that China is in control here and has been for 60 years. When China annexed Tibet in 1959, they immediately destroyed the religious system in Tibet. The 14th Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso, fearing for his life, fled to India. To this day, he has not returned to Tibet. The leader of Tibetan Buddhism has not returned in more than 50 years due to fear of religious persecution. Even in China, over the past decade, there has been a purge by Central Command to rid China of all images of the lamas. The 11th Panchen Lama, second in command, Gethun Chiaki Nyama, is currently under arrest by the Communist Party. No one has seen him in over 20 years. My parents first visited Tibet 25 years ago. According to them, back then, the tour guides freely talked about the Dalai Lama, and pictures of the lamas adorned the temples and palaces such as the Potala. When I went there this summer, no such mention or picture of the current Dalai Lama could be found. The Chinese are attempting to censor religion in a region they claim is ruled autonomously. However, no such autonomy appears to exist. Instead, censorship is ripe, and the tourist industry gives off a vibe of what the Chinese government wants you to know instead of the actual truth. If I were on my own listening to government-sponsored tour guides, I would not have gotten a complete picture. Speaking to a native shop owner truly exposed me to the true meaning of Chinese involvement in Tibetan affairs. She explained that after riots for independence, China started cracking down. China also started altering the landscape of Tibet, building highways and railways, destroying the landscape as well as the environment. In addition, huge influences of ethnically Han Chinese have flooded Tibet looking for work. This has fundamentally altered the racial composition of Tibet. However, the Tibetans have no freedom of movement. Their applications for passports are always denied. They are being forced to live in a land in which their entire civilization is being fundamentally altered with no recourse or way out. To me, this course of action is completely unsustainable for Tibet. I hate to see such blatant human rights abuses by a government I consider to be my own. They are changing something that has stayed the same for hundreds of years, and China thinks they have the power to simply march in and change the entire plateau. The Tibetan people certainly do not want this. We need to consider the rights of Tibetans and their wishes. Tibetans deserve a right to self-determination, especially regarding their religion. By visiting Tibet and digging deep into what I was truly seeing, I have come to the conclusion that Tibet must be able to rule itself and the old traditions need to be resolved. Let them free.